Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first very, very early preview of the Shadowlands endgame. This is the stuff you're going to be doing after you cap. Obviously, most of you are au fait with Torghast as a big part of that. We have now learned that there'll be no keys, nothing. You will just go to Torghast and you'll just have fun, and that's how it's going to work. They're currently balancing how the reward structure is going to be, so we'll wait and see on that one. But we now have access, thanks to Blizzard providing us this entirely separate realm that is not part of the alpha. This is even more exclusive, seemingly, than the alpha, which is much further ahead, so we can get an initial look at it. Now, pre-warning, a lot of what I'm about to show you is probably going to change a lot. It's the idea of what they've given us here is hopefully we can be level-headed enough, and you guys can be level-headed enough to just get a general idea of how the systems are, and then we can give some feedback as to how they're managing the endgame. So let's start with world quests and stuff overall. You may be aware they were trying to dramatically change the world questing system to make it much more interesting. And they have done that in a way. First of all, you get your emissary quest that still exists. You can see in this window here, you will get your emissary quest. They're called callings now. And these will provide you with resources for your sanctum, etc., and your soulbinds, and so on and so forth. You get favor of the court, is what they're calling it. And this is a call to a specific zone. So very similar to what you've seen in the past, you'll get to go to a specific zone and there will be world quests there, as you know. Now, one thing they've changed, or a few things they've changed actually, there are far less world quests in this build than you're used to seeing in the game, but each of them is a little longer. So instead of having to maybe... I think that what they're trying to do here is get away from the idea that traveling to the quests is the vast majority of your time spent doing your emissary. The actual emissary itself, or the quests you do to complete the emissary, be it the 4 quests or whatever, are actually super tiny, trivial things, but traveling between them is a pain in the backside. This time around, what they've done is say there's like 2 world quests, 2 main world quests, but those are going to be the majority of what you do there. Now, in this build I'm doing right now, the world quests I got to do were not enough to actually complete the emissary. It is a fill the bar situation. However, your emissary can be done in a number of different ways, and this is really cool. So I'll read it out to you. So I got a call to Maldraxxus for my first emissary quest. Defeat Maldraxxus or defend Maldraxxus as part of the Venthia story, which is what this character is, by completing daily quests and world quests, looting treasures, so opening boxes, slaying rare creatures, all contribute towards the bar. Also, you can defeat dungeons. That's right, you could do your emissary quest by saying, oh, it's Maldraxxus today, the dungeons there are Plaguefall and the Theatre of Pain. I could do a daily dungeon instead to complete my emissary reward. Thank God. How awesome is that? That is really cool. I was surprised because I was very confused at first. I'm going down there, I'm looking for world quests and things, and I'm doing them, and I only got like 50% of the bar, and it took me quite a long time. Then I was like killing rares, and they contributed to it, and then you're looking at it you're like, well, if I've got a group, I can just go and do a dungeon and get that done. Now, getting a dungeon on this realm is practically impossible, unfortunately. That is a little difficult. I'm working on it because the other dungeon is accessible here, so stay tuned for that. But at the moment, this looks like a system where you can, instead of doing, you can either choose. You can choose to do daily quests, you can choose to solo play it and go and do rares and things like that, or you can choose to go and do a dungeon if that's what you want to do, as long as that dungeon is relevant to the zone you've been called to. So very, very cool to see this come into the game. So I'm pretty happy with how this system is shaping up. So that's your world quest system. The other system then is, of course, the Maw itself. And this is the Maw. Welcome to the Maw. Now, I would actually argue this is probably the extreme early part of this. So there are some introductory quests, which I won't really spoil. They're not big spoilers, but there's some spoilers in there to get you used to this. Because the way the Maw works, as Ian described in his interview, is you do not belong here. They want you out of here. The jailer is not happy that you exist. So what you have is one refuge. There are no flight points or anything here. You get to the Maw by going to Oribos and leaping through the center of the tower, and that will shoot you down into the Maw. And there you will enter this little cave which contains Venari. He's the only person who is friendly so far in the Maw, and he provides you with a few things. So you have a rep grind, an individual rep grind with him, which we've seen many times in the past. So currently I've done quite a lot of stuff, but he still looks at me with contempt. He really doesn't like me, which is a shame. I've done quite a good number of nice things for Venari, but he really doesn't like me. And what he sells is various items to help you in the Maw, and also to help you in Torghast. Now, I'm really not sure because they're not implemented as to what these will do to Torghast. I hope they don't spoil it. I'm very, very wary of this. And I would assume that the more reputation you gain with him, he will unlock more things for him to sell you. Now, the currency in order to use this guy is actually called Stygia. Stygia is a resource that you passively collect by just being in the maw. So being in the maw, killing enemies and things like that will drop Stygia. You can then turn that into other things. So some examples that we do know of that you will get from Venari is the ability to use your mount in the maw. I really question this decision. The maw is huge, and playing without a mount is really annoying. Now, it is pretty cheap, so in about 10 minutes or so, I had well over the resource currency needed to buy the item, which seems to be the ability to use your mount. Now, having said that, there are some items lying around on the floor. One of them is a mount that you can pick up, and it has a time limit on it that will start wearing down when you click it. You pick up this harness, and you actually transform into one of the maw enemies. That means you are friendly to everything around you. Yeah, pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So you actually disguise yourself as a member of the maw, as a member of the jailer's army, and you can walk through everything. They're all friendly to you. It is time limited, so that's something to bear in mind. But over the course of it, you will be able to purchase these upgrades from Venari. It looks like it's probably for the day, and the maw does reset in a day. So I should explain the torment system. As I said, or Ian said actually, they don't want you here. They want you out as quickly as possible. They hate you being here and doing things here. So the way they're doing this is with a torment system. So the torment system currently goes from 1 to 5. It took me an exceptionally long time to get it to 5. But I did do it because the way this works is every level of torment increases the threat against your character. So while you're trying to complete stuff in the maw, it's based on time and what you do there. So just passively being in the maw, the maw, will gradually increase this bar. However, completing world quests, defeating rares and things like that will give you a big chunk of this bar to move you towards the next torment. So it's really a case of being... it rewards efficiency in terms of get in, get out, get everything you want to be done. You're not really intended to spend the whole day here, and in fact, it currently is impossible to do that. So at level 1... you have, as soon as you go in there, when you've got 0 or 5, you will have nothing bothering you whatsoever until that bar ticks over to 1. Once it ticks over to 1, it says Soul Seekers attack you on sight, and new enemies actually appeared in the zone. Now, they don't actually really do anything. Again, this is really early, guys, so don't worry about it too much. But these Soul Seeker enemies did appear, and it says they attack you on sight. They didn't really do anything to me. They just were new enemies that were in the zone that I could kill. At the next level, towers bombard your location, dealing damage and slowing you. So very occasionally, you will get this big white circle under you. That means the tower is Torghast Tower is about to bombard you. Should you get hit by this, you take some damage, but it also chains you to the floor with 5 pillars that you have to individually click to release them. And once they're released, you're actually fine again. Now, ordinarily, this is actually no problem at all. And I was a little confused that these threats didn't really feel like threats at all. I have one where there's an enemy that doesn't really do anything, and I have another one with a big white circle that doesn't really do anything if you can move. Now, the issue is, of course, if you do get accidentally hit by this, it can end up really badly. And this actually works with the affixes that exist within the maw itself, and we'll get there in a moment. At the next stage, assassins start coming for you. So this is kind of cool as well. They haven't made this annoying like it was in Torghast. You will get a debuff that says the next time you go into combat, an assassin is going to spawn. So you do get told that you have been marked, you are being hunted, and the next time you attack something, that's when the assassin will spawn. It won't just randomly spawn and just start attacking you. You do get to sort of say, oh god, I'm being hunted, now I can pick a weaker enemy so I can deal with the assassin at the same time. Curiously enough, and I imagine this is just a case of the fact that the maw mobs currently have very little to no loot table, is killing the assassins actually rewarded some cool stuff. You got something called Maw Law, which is not the easiest thing to say, that you could turn into Venari for some reputation. And it also gave me items like an Assassin's Key and Jailer's Tower's Key that grant you entry to Torghast Tower of the Damned. Now, I think these are just remnants of before the decision to remove keys. So I think this was the original idea of getting keys. They would be loot within the maw itself. And these are just still stuck on the loot table for whatever reason, and they're not going to exist anymore. So, something to bear in mind there. At the next level, I got Elite Assassins. So it's the same system again, but the Assassins were slightly tougher. And we were really interested in the level 5, which is the final version of this, as they would just basically said, do not get to level 5. Level 5, bad. You don't want that. So, of course, I had to find out what it was. And at level 5, he basically just kills you. He rapidly erodes your life force. Luckily, I was playing an Arms Warrior with Second Wind, so initially I thought I was counteracting this. Your health is just withering away, but it does continue to grow in strength and eventually overwhelmed my character and just killed me. So that is the level 5 one as it stands right now. I do hope they introduce the Taraga or something into the open world, that he comes looking for you or something like that, just to make it a bit more fun. Just being killed is kind of like, oh, okay, that's it, my day's over. So this does reset on the daily reset. Currently we can instantly reset it, so just for testing purposes, but as it stands right now, this is a daily reset. So when you go to the mall, let's say you go in the morning and you do a little bit of stuff and then you leave, if you come back later in the evening or something like that, it will remember what your current threat level was at and continue to build from there. That's how it's going to be. So why should you come to the mall? What's the point? Well, again, it's early, but for the most part, what it sees is coming to the mall, doing some daily quests and stuff here, killing some rare mobs. A lot of these are group-based, by the way. A hell of a lot of the current Shadowlands endgame stuff seems to really, really, really want you to be in a guild. We've seen that with the world quests, and we've seen that with open world content, and we're now seeing it in the mall, is a lot of this stuff is either overtuned or it's designed with groups in mind. So you actually get a party together to go and attack them more. I get what they're doing thematically. I wonder how the player base will react to that. But again, it's early. It might just be overtuned. Who knows? What you're going to do is collect Stygia, obviously, so you can purchase things from Venari. And you will also collect freed souls. And freed souls are then something you're going to use in your Covenant Sanctum in order to purchase upgrades and things along those lines. Get your soulbinds leveled up, no doubts, and get some more actual... Sort of like, the best equivalent I can give you guys is garrison upgrades, but they're more useful than that. So even though I said the garrison word, don't think of it that way. I'm just explaining to you how that system works. You'll gain resources from collecting souls and things from the mall that you can then use elsewhere in order to level that whole system up and get it done. So that's the loop they're looking for you to do. Of course, Torghast is located here. After you come to the mall, the cave where Venari is actually going to be the entrance to Torghast. You could get started in there. But the mall right now is interesting. There's a couple of criticisms I certainly have of this early version that I imagine most of these things are already addressed or are going to be addressed. They're just basically checking out the general system right now. I think they should dispense with the fact that you can't mount here. It's very tedious. It's very, very tedious. And I really question the decision to add some of the affixes to the various areas. The mall is really large, and some areas like the Beast Warrens, for example, that entire area, as soon as you enter it, you then targeted to get occasionally feared, and it's an unbreakable fear. Things like Berserker Rage, etc. do not work. And you get feared for a really long time. And it's very similar to some of what some people think of the Visions affixes. They're really just annoying. It's not fun. In any way, shape, or form. It's not something that I find interesting. Considering the Jailer's Torments are supposed to be the severe things, the actual most severe thing I dealt with in the entirety of the few hours I played the mall was the fact that the area just randomly feared me for a really long time. We're talking like 10 seconds of being feared, so if you're in the middle of an enemy or pulled something, you don't know when it's coming, and I'm sure there's probably a timer on it, then you just get feared for ages, which runs you into other mobs and you just get killed. Dying in the mall does have consequences. You lose half your Stygia that you have collected. Now, from what I could tell so far, Stygia doesn't have much other purpose other than buying things from Venari. So one, it's not that bad. And you do get it, or you're supposed to get it back when you get back to your corpse. So if you, it's Dark Souls style. So if you can fight your way back to where you died, you'll be able to pick up your Stygia again. That currently doesn't seem to be working, but that is the intention. You do get a message saying, get back to your corpse to get all your Stygia back. So a kind of interesting twist, a little nod, I think, there. I don't think it matters too much unless Stygia has definitely a lot of extra consequence to what it's doing. So what am I seeing overall here? What's my impressions of the end game and the maw and things like that? Right now, the maw is very feature incomplete. It's very bare bones. A lot of the mobs don't have anything. Just getting here, I understand. I get what it's about. It feels very bare. I'm super not convinced on the... It might be fine. Currently, the mount upgrade from Venari is not in the game. It says not yet implemented in order to be able to purchase that, even though I can afford it. It might be a case of, yeah, it's really annoying for the first 10 minutes ever, but after that you have Stygia banked. So it's not a problem, right? That might be how that works. But right now, definitely traversing the maw sucks. It's not fun. I really do question the need to add these extra affixes in. I would rather areas just be generally more difficult. So maybe the Beast Warrens doesn't just randomly fear you, but it's definitely more group based. It's like very elite heavy, something along those lines that's just less annoying and perhaps just more fun, right? The full 180 on it. Just being randomly feared for ages just sucks. Like, it just made me leave that zone because I wasn't interested in it. I was trying to explore it and just see what was lurking around there. There's some towers and things and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really get there. I would certainly make the other torments more threatening. You might think I'm being a bit of an elitist jerk there, but as it stands right now, there's really none of these things are threatening whatsoever until you get killed by the jailer at level 5. And I had to push in order to get to a point where it mattered, because the assassins don't matter, the towers bombarding you don't really matter, and the soul seekers attacking you on sight seemingly doesn't work anyway. So I would really make these threats a little bit more threatening if it's a case of we're supposed to... If they're looking at something like Vision's Sanity, where you start off and you can do short runs, and then as the game goes on, you'll be able to spend longer and longer in the maw. If that's the effect they're going for, that's fine. If they're basically just applying a flat timer and really they only actually want you to get out at level 5, then what's the point in the system? I would just have the... I would rather have something honing in on you, because at the moment it's actually a benefit, because you get more loot by killing assassins, so it makes it a little bit strange. So there you go, guys, for a very early preview. I'm going to be testing this a lot more. Obviously, I've only had around 20 hours or so in order to check out so much stuff on this private realm. But that's the initial look at the end game. Super cool stuff. One, Emissary is being done by World Quest, which means unless you desperately need the reputation, which obviously is one of the rewards from World Quest, then for some people, World Quests are no longer a thing. I'm happy about that. I would rather jump in a group with more boys, I know that. And in terms of the maw, an early look, nice in principle, needs a lot more stuff in it before I could even put a realistic conclusion to it. But I get where they're going. I just need to understand, for the most part, what else am I going to be doing here? If this is supposed to be the big endgame zone, obviously, if my initial feedback was to be that I'm not really digging this, it feels a little annoying. But I think we're so feature incomplete, and they just probably want to test the torments, then it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's Torghast, so I'm happy. But the rest of the stuff, yeah, okay. Is this mandatory just to upgrade my Covenant Sanctum? I don't know. But we'll wait and see, and we'll flesh this out more as Blizzard fleshes it out more. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Have fun. Have a good day. Bye-bye.